Hey guys, and welcome to the Solution Architect channel, and today we're going to talk about how to develop code to upload images to your ASP.NET Core MVC Web Application. And as always, we're using C# and Visual Studio Code. So these are the steps that we need to follow to be able to get the images uploaded. The idea is to have added a product image to a product list. So the first step is add the image path to the column, to the table. So we need a column in our table, and then we need to add that column then back to our model inside our code. And then we need to create a path for www.root. And then we add a FileProvider and a file path to startup. And then we need to add and upload and create some code in the create method, and then we also add the file type to the create view, and then we're going to add the image path to the view on the index list, and then we're going to run the application. So let's jump into the code. Okay, so you need to open Visual Studio Code, and just a reminder that I am working on the base code that is checked into GitHub. The link is below in the description, and the test MVC web application, there's a MVC series 1, 2, 3, and 4, how to build the application and how to create a database. And until here we've got the product database, and I'm going to add a new column to the database. But the way we do that, the first thing you need to do is you need to go to the model, which is a product model, and I'm just going to copy and paste, just being lazy here. And we call it image path. And the laziness kicks in again. Okay, that's our first step that you need to do, is add it to the model. Okay, so what do we need to do next is I just want to focus, put your focus point on this migrations. The way we added the data in the database was model first, and then we ran the EF migrations command inside the terminal. You need to go back to that video to see how I've done that, but this is similar. So I've added now a image path here. What we want to do is we want to make sure that image path is available on the database. Our database is called products.db. This is a SQLite database, if you don't know that. And there's at the moment, if you open the database, which you also need to install, is your SQLite Explorer. That is just a extension that you add here, which give you ability to view. You can see there, image path is not available in the database yet. Okay, now I want to focus your point. You want to focus on migrations. So this is what we want to try and do. We cannot change the current ones. We can, obviously there's other ways of deleting it or removing it completely and then redo everything, but you don't want to do that. You need to actually go to terminal and type in .NET EF migration add, and we can call it this anything. So we want to add our product image, so we can just call this product migration updated, and then you need to give it an output directory. Where does it actually need to output this migrations? So it's inside here, migration. So we're going to call that migrations, and then it needs to know what is the context. The context, DB context that we use here we've got two DB contexts, one for the login authorization and one for our database, which is called MVC Web App DB context. So I'm just going to copy that. So let's just say context first, and then paste that in here, and then let's run this. That just ignore these messages coming up. So what this will do, it won't add anything to the database yet, but what it will do is if you go to migrations now, you'll see that it added 2 additional classes here for product, and you'll see that image has been added. So it will pick up from the model what is the changes that needs to occur, and it will create the code for you. But now it's still not in a database. You still don't have it inside here, even if I refresh this. Now what you need to do, you need to run another command called .NET EF database update. And what is our context? If I can spell this correctly. So our context is MVC Web App DB context. And that will, if I typed everything correctly, will now update the database with a new column. Okay, so we need to click and refresh here and go down, and you can see your image path has been added here to your table. Okay, so what you need to do next is you need to I'm just going to close down here. So we need to place where, if somebody is going to select from their local drive to upload an image, we need to store that image somewhere. So when you deploy this application eventually, and I'll show you deployment in one of my videos coming, how to deploy a web application onto Linux and Windows. So if you want to save this somewhere, the best place to do this is actually under your www.root, because when you publish your application, www.root goes with that as well. So when you create a structure in here, all of these, this is out of the box, your style sheets and JavaScript files and your libraries, this will copy with the application. So what you can do is just create a folder here called image files. So this is the first step that you need to do. So the next step is to go to startup. What we want to do now is we want to tell in the configuration that which path is our new path, okay, which is our image files path. So we're going to type some code here. I'm going to put it there, just say services. So I just want to add something to services called add a singleton. And FileProvider. FileProvider, I think that's correct. Okay, the reason why this is underscored is because the using of FileProvider needs to be added to the top there. FileProvider. Okay, now we need to enter a bit information inside here. Say new physical file provider, and path dot combine directory dot get this IntelliSense sometimes doesn't work, especially if the using hasn't been added yet. So they just add directory IO, This is also wrong. We want to get the current directory. What is the current directory of where this application is running? So you don't have to go in. You can, there's other ways you can put this into a configuration file. But if you know that you're always going to, this is probably not the best way, but it's the easiest way. No, not there. What is happening? Okay, no errors here. So this is what you need to add, this piece of code that will get the current directory where the application is running. So if you deploy it anywhere on a server, it doesn't actually matter. It just will get the current directory, and it will look under wwwroot image files. This is your physical files where you're going to publish or upload the images. Okay, so the next step, what you need to do is, remember we have a controller. So if you followed my previous videos on how to create this products controller, then if you don't know how to do that, I would suggest watch that first, how to create a controller and how to create views. So we need to make changes in our controller CS file, and we also need to make changes in our products create. For now, just to create, that means just to upload that, and also how do we display then that image in a list. So let's go to product controller. And this create, so if you're not familiar with MVC that much, this creates when you click the create button. This is the steps that it will happen. So here, what you want to do is only upload the image once that create button is clicked. So create will pass the original object for products, and that information comes from the screen, from the UI, but we also want to include a file. Now the way to do this, there's other ways, but I find this way is probably going to work the best. File. So this needs to add, we need to add using ASP.NET Core.http, and then it will recognize that you are trying to send a file through to the code. What you want to do next is you want to create, so when this model state is valid, so we're going to add some code to upload image. So it's always good practice to check if what you're trying to achieve is not null, or say if, for example, the file length is 0, then I'm just going to say if it's not null, and if it's not 0, then let's do something. Okay, so what we want to do, and I'm going to show you a trick here as well, and I'm not sure if you're going to get that in all the videos here. File name. You don't want to go and save the file name as is into the database. You want to create your own format, and that's what I'm doing now, is creating my own format, because if you're just saving the file name as is, the next person uploading the file might have the same file name. It might be called dog or bird, and everybody will want to upload a bird, and then you save the file name in your database or on your file structure, and you want to create your own way of saving the file. Otherwise you're just going to overwrite what you have, or you're going to have an error. So you can have your own initials or What I would do is I would take, for example, the product ID. So what we need to do, we actually need to do this after we've saved the URL, the product to the database, because it's only saving the path to the database. We're not saving a blob or image to the database. We just copy the file into your server location. So if it's successful and you've got your product ID, I would say use your product ID, because that will be unique, and then add something like a string. Let's format the string. And this is a digital. What I'm doing now is I'm going to take datetime. You'll see now, and I'm going to just take the ticks of the datetime, because that will provide you with a unique number. It will always be unique, even if you have more than one for the same product ID. I'm not saying you, but if that's the idea, you can also do this. Say and plus your file extension. Obviously you will have either JPEG file or bitmap. Okay, so hopefully that works. Okay, so what you need to do to be able to get the information needed to this controller, if you go to the product, your product controller method, when this controller has been instantiated, you need to pass the FileProvider that we added. And then we need to, what we want to add is hosting environment. Okay. Both of these needs to add. They're using the file providers and hosting. I'm just copy and pasting, being lazy now. And both this needs to be so the one is to identify the file, where the file is hosted, and the other one is the environment where the application is hosted, and that's why you need this. Okay, and now what we need to add here, remember we added our hosting environment, and the next step is to get the path, or the path, sorry for my accent, for that hosting environment. So let's get the web path. Hosting environment. So this will get the, where is the web root? So like I said, you could have done something like put it in a configuration file, and when you deploy and publish, then you can just change your configuration file. But this gives you a way not to have to change your configuration. The next line, I'm just copying and pasting it in here, is just create a variable for the combined path between your web path and your file name. So you just get that, and then create another variable path to save, because the one is actually where do you upload the path from and where do you want to save the path from. So this one is image files. Wait. Plus new file name. Okay, now we need to stream this. Stream equals new file stream. The file mode is you want to create the file. And because this is asynchronous, I'm going to copy to async to that stream, and that will copy the file for you. Now after we've done this, remember what not going to happen now is it's not going to save. It's already saved to the database, so we need to just make sure we save this path to the database. And I'm just going to paste in the, just make this video a bit quicker, is the path to save. This is the path you want to save to the product.image path, and we update our database again and save our changes. Okay, so what we want to do next is we want to add the information to create the image, or add the image on the screen. So we need to go to views, and you go to products, and then you go to create. Okay, so what we don't have here is we don't have so let's do this a little bit lower down. So it's product code, product type, description, unit price, stock, and maybe after this let's put in a new div, the divider class. Class is a form group. There's a few things we had to add on the top of this as well, but let's add this first. Inside this div, we create another div for a column. And the column is just a column. This is things that is in your style sheet, okay? So upload an image, so this will just give you the wording. We could have used ASP.NET. Let me just, but we want to input a type file, and the name of our file is file. Why do I say it's file? If you remember correctly, inside our product controller, I call this file. This needs to be, it has to be the same name. That's what I found works for me. So this is the way you upload the file. All right. Okay, so next step, what I said, what you need to, really important here, this form needs to get additional information here. This line here, ASP controller, it is called products. So just need to make sure it's products, just products. Okay, so the controller name is products. You don't put in controller. And then you need the method is you want to post equals to and this is what makes the difference in working or not working. Form data, multi-part form data. You need to add this on the top of inside your form here for this to be able to work. Okay, so let's test and debug and see what happens. Okay, I need to log in. Remember we said our admin is the only one that can add products. If you go to the previous videos, there is I think one record in here in product list, but that doesn't have an image yet. Let's create a new one. Your product code can be anything. I can have a drop down on these things later. Add a image here. I'm just going to use my image, create. Okay, maybe what we want to do, and I'm going to show you that following this, is it did add it, but now did it actually copy that file into our folder? So let's go back here. Go to wwwroot image files, and there is our image uploaded. Okay, so the last step here, I'm going to show you how to list that image in your index. So the list of products. So go to your index cshtml file, and let's just put it. Let's put it in the beginning, just to make it a little bit more fun. Just to add a new table, and image class that you want to use is, let's do, now you can go and look to see what is available. There's one that's out of the box called, oops, if I can spell this correctly, is thumbnail. But you can play around with the sizes as well, but I'm just using the one out of the box. So the item here is add item dot I think we call it image path. Okay, and ASP append version true. Alternative, say for example, your image is not available anymore. It's just going to show the image location. Probably not the best. Probably want to leave that alone, but for the sake of this exercise, and that's done. So it will appear in your image. So okay, so we created a vacuum here. So this is a list. So when you display a list in a table, you're gonna probably have to just create another here. We can just call it image. And one last thing, which is really important, otherwise this will not work. Remember, we've done this in Create as well. So we need to add multi-part form data, and this will give you the ability to view that image. Okay, I spotted an error here. Let's fix that and let's run this. Let's products. Let's add a new product. Choose our image. Create, and there you have your image. So thank you again for watching. This is how you upload an image and list an image on your list. And please subscribe, click the notification button, and please share if you've got other friends that wants to do some programming. Thank you very much. Cheers.